Here in California, several districts are battling with the Attorney General over policies that require schools to notify parents if a student identifies as transgender. Now a state lawmaker wants to ban so-called forced outings. Kelsi Thorud spoke to a former student in Rockland about the impact of notification rules.
They were nice about that. Sometimes they would even say,
20-year-old Kai grew up in Rockland, a suburb just north of Sacramento. He says as a transgender kid, it wasn't always easy going to school there.
I always knew I wasn't straight, and I didn't really understand that there were people who wouldn't like that.
Kai says for the most part, kids his age weren't shocked when he came out as trans, but that didn't stop some of them from bullying him.
I didn't really have a whole lot of friends. That's when, everyone decides, oh, we're going to hang out in these different groups, and I didn't really have anyone to hang out with. And I didn't know that many other trans people or queer people. So I felt really isolated.
Thankfully for Kai, he had very supportive parents who worked with him to get him into an alternative school that he felt safer in.
It was a huge difference from a traditional to the alternative chapter or charter school. He wanted to go to school.
There were so many, other LGBTQ people or neurodivergent people or, people who I saw myself in them and we could sort of be friends.
But not every queer kid in Rockland was as lucky as Kai. He says his roommate was actually outed by his school.
He was forcibly outed by his principal to the entire school and his family, and he had really bad experiences from that. It could have costed him his life.
Kai says, unfortunately, he knows several other kids who did take their own lives after being forcibly outed. That's why when Kai learned last year that the Rockland Unified School District School Board voted to implement a mandatory gender identity disclosure policy that would require schools to out students, even though he had already graduated, he knew he had to speak out.
I thought about those people and I thought about how lucky I was and how sad it is that I was lucky to have a good experience. And I knew I had to speak up.
Kai teamed up with Equality California to lobby for a state bill that would ban schools from implementing forced outing policies like the one in Rockland. The bill, AB 1955, known as the Safety Act, was officially introduced by Assemblymember Chris Ward in May.
Forced outing policies have a measurable impact on mental health of LGBTQ students and have led to a rise in bullying, harassment, and discrimination. And we know that when one population of a student body is bullied, harassed, and discriminated against, all students are impacted.
Kai was there alongside Assemblymember Ward during that press conference. He says sharing his story and the stories of what his friends went through on that stage in front of lawmakers is something he will never forget.
It was very overwhelming, but in a good way. And it felt like I was contributing something good to the world.
Kai's mom, Cynthia, says it's also something she'll never forget. It's been a tough road for Kai, but she says she is so happy to see him fighting for his own rights and the rights of the next generation of kids growing up in Rockland and beyond.
Just that I'm very proud of him. He's a very strong individual and will always be at his back to protect him and help him, no matter what it is that he wants to do.
And with his parents' support, Kai says he plans to continue to advocate for a variety of LGBTQ causes.
If it's not, the landing spot or just LGBTQ issues in general, it's something else. I'm definitely a loudmouth.
He says he hopes his story will inspire others to get involved and show everyone just how important protecting LGBTQ youth is.
And Kelsi reached out to the school district and every member of the school board for comment, but we have not heard back.